Welcome once again to our YouTube video series on investment and securities law. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal. And in this particular YouTube video on investment law and investing in the stock market, we're going to talk about one of the more intriguing little stories that comes from the saga of Bernie Madoff. And that is the tale of people who try to get in on what appears to be too good of a financial winner without even investigating it. Now, as you might well recount, Bernie Madoff ran a Ponzi scheme, a illicit investment fraud operation, where he drew in lots of people, lots of money, and ran it for well over a decade, nearly 2 decades. Now, what's intriguing about this is that he fully anticipated that he would get caught early on. Yes, he kept on cooking the books. He brought in his family to help him cook the books and to prop up these investments. He had accountants and lawyers who, unfortunately for them, worked with him in propping up this whole illicit enterprise. But his expectation was that it was going to go down the tubes very quickly. So he was profiting off of this whole enterprise and pulling in people's money, paying off the early investors as a Ponzi scheme typically works, with the money that came in from the new investors. And he would go spend his time at his Jewish country club with his Jewish friends, as the tale goes. And a lot of his friends came up to him and said, "Bernie, I heard you have a great investment portfolio. I want to put my money in it. Is my money not good enough for you? Why aren't you taking my money?" Well, the whole thing is that Bernie, previously to this time, had friends. He still had them. And he didn't necessarily want to lose them as friends. Yes, he was doing this illicit enterprise with people who were not his friends, who he was ripping off and stealing their money, pushing it back so that certain people would get the benefits of the money and other people would lose out on the scheme. But then his friends would come to him and wonder why they weren't good enough to have their money invested with him, why he would not take their money. Well, the problem is with a con man and a guy who's a fraudster in the investment sphere, he could not let them in on the fact that he was conning other people. Otherwise, the gig was over. So he couldn't say to them, "I don't want to take your money because this is a bad investment. It's going to get blown up soon enough, and you're going to probably lose all your money." So what did he have to do? Unfortunately for him and unfortunately for his friends, he took their money because he had to keep up the con. He had to keep up the investment fraud and perpetuate it because people were wanting to get in on it. And they got caught into the fraud and they lost their money. So what does this tell us about investment frauds and investing your money? What it tells us is, first and foremost, that just because something seems too good to be true, just because everybody else is investing and appears to be having high rates of return, you cannot simply look at the outside. You cannot look at the exterior. You have to dig in still. You have to figure out what's going on, because there is all too often something happening when the investment returns are that good, that the money is just simply generating more money upon more money without necessarily any real accountability. You want to be looking at what is actually happening. If you simply accept the fact that money is producing these amazing returns and that these amazing returns are going to continue, this is a challenge, it's going to continue. The fact that it's made excellent returns in the past, and you'll see this in the disclaimers, is not indicative of returns in the future. Be aware of that. Because if your expectation is that it's going to continually make good returns, unless you're prepared to risk the money, and unless you're prepared to make the investment in time and research and understanding, you need to be wary of those investments. You can't simply want to jump on a good thing, what appears to be a good thing, to make money all too quickly. That is what Bernie Madoff's former friends did. They said, whoa, I want to get in on this. I see everybody else making money, so I want to make money. What happens when you want to jump into something that seems to be making everybody money all too easily? It's probably not all that it's cut out to be. Either that, or it's made its big money at the outset. And even with a Ponzi scheme, the big money is actually made at the outset, because it's those first group of investors or second group of investors who get their money repatriated, because it's a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth sets of investors that come down the road who prop up the whole system and push money back in, and thus create the basis for the Ponzi scheme, meaning that people who see a great thing already happening and want to jump in. Sometimes there are stuff. They're few and far between, but they are only supported by research. Otherwise, what you're jumping into is very likely an investment fraud, a deceitful mechanism used to get people in on something that's not really there. Simply looking and saying everybody else is making money, great returns off of this, and leaving it at that and putting your money in, that's what happened to others with Bernie Madoff and thousands of other investment opportunities or schemes or whatever you want to call them. Be wary. Protect yourself. Do your due diligence and be prepared to assume the risk involved in investing, because all investing is risky. No matter what they say, all investing is risky. If you're looking for legal counsel in the area of investment law, securities law, investment research, do not hesitate to contact us. Our contact information is available on this YouTube video, as well as being available in the information sections that we provide on YouTube. Meanwhile, we hope you have found this YouTube video informative, providing you guidance of a basic nature as to what happens with investments if they are not done properly. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.